Welcome back, Lions Den listeners. We took a little hiatus for a minute, had to figure some stuff out in each of our lives respectively, but we can confidently say we are back and at 'em just as strong as we were before, and hopefully can deliver with some more consistency from here on out.
Yeah, we're stoked. It feels good to be back. It feels good to be in front of the microphone, sharing with you guys things that we love talking about all the time. So it's December, the year's almost over. So I think what we wanted to do for today was just kick back and think about like the amount of growth and things that we've experienced this year, and then just some things that we expect to learn and develop and grow from for the next year to come. So knowing that it's December, I would have to say that this has probably been the craziest year that I've experienced yet. And I kind of believe that we should have that kind of perception that each year is going to be, because, in life, in a perfect world, you probably want each year to get better and better and better. Otherwise, your life would seem miserable. So I expect next year to be just as crazy, if not crazier. So Taylor, why don't you give us a recap on, just how you could perceive this year and your growth and, things that you want to share about.
Yeah, I would say this year was exciting and a year full of definitely growth. Honestly, adventure-wise, a little more relaxed than most of the years of my life, in terms of just getting out there and doing crazy stuff and experiencing different things. But as far as like growing as a person, it was definitely the strongest year.
In regards of what kind of growth?
Just like putting myself in, like over the last couple of years, I kind of figured out what I want to be doing between making music and just helping society however I can grow as a person. So over this year, we obviously started up the podcast. I've been thinking of things I want to implement in 2019 as far as kind of sharing knowledge in other ways. And just in terms of music, I've kind of figured out the path I want to go, making more acoustic stuff that I'm going to end up blending with like samples and electronic, drums and bass. So I got really good this year at learning acoustic instruments. I learned how to play guitar, ukulele, and then got a lot colder at piano, which has been fun. And I've kind of like, from last year when I barely made any money, I got a job finally and just ended up finishing out my terms at the longest job I've ever had in my life, which is 7 months, which isn't saying a lot, but that kind of just tells you where my mind frame is with having a job at all. But yeah, I finished out with them. I just got a more lucrative offer, gonna be making a consistently high salary now, doing something that's not treacherous. So
It's a huge step. I heard on another podcast the other day that 13% of Americans, or 13% of people in the world, enjoy what they do. So that's a huge step, knowing that it's something that you're not, dreading, because if 13% is the only people in the world that are happy, that means that there's 500 million people in the world that aren't enjoying what they're doing on a daily basis, or 500 million people in America that aren't enjoying what they're doing on a daily basis, and that's kind of scary. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, just been putting good things in my head all year. I've been listening to a bunch of good podcasts, having a bunch of good talks. We've had several good talks on and off of this podcast that have definitely helped me grow as a person. I just feel like, I don't know, mentally more stable than I've ever been. I've had a lot of cool ideas and I've always been like a smart person in my past, but now I kind of feel like I have a lot of the fundamentals down to where I can apply a bunch of things to my life and actually feel like learning information is something I can do and apply immediately into my life instead of it just being understanding cool ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of been the recap of the year for me. How about you? You've had a pretty crazy year, to say the least.
Yeah, this year is insane. I've always wanted to be like an educator, and I've always wanted to lead people, and I've always wanted to be someone that, not that I want people to look up to me, or not that I want people to Brian's doing X, Y, and Z, and that's awesome. I've always wanted to be someone that, when I speak, it could just resonate with people, and so this year, I've actually kind of built the confidence because I'm afraid of public speaking. I don't talk well in front of cameras and things like that. And for this year, I think I've mustered up the confidence to finally feel and do things that I want to speak about. And maybe it's because of the success that I've had, you know, with just life and like, you know, business and growth and just like reading books and health, to where now I'm living the things that I want to talk about. Because, you know, like when you learn something and you get a little bit of traction, all you want to do is like tell people, oh, I'm doing this now, I know this, X, Y, and Z, and you kind of get an ego.
You have none of the results to back
yeah,
those things up, but you have all this great information,
mm-hmm.
and nobody wants to listen to you when you.
Yeah, exactly. And I just wanted to be able to like do what I say too. One of my biggest flaws, you know, last year, and maybe a little bit, you know, still definitely not as bad though, is the fact that and I got a puppy and he's crawling on me right now. But one of my biggest flaws was just like wanting to or doing things that I don't necessarily, you know, do myself, or like saying things and I don't end up doing them. So this year in itself was one of the biggest years for me, because now I'm like living the things that I have been talking about for 3 to 4-ish years now. So now that I'm in a state where I can like confidently say and back the things that I'm talking about, now I want to share it because now I have credibility, which gives me more conviction in the things that I'm learning, which should resonate with people a little bit more. So I am, you know, crushing it with the company that I'm working for. We're one of the fastest growing companies in America. I work from home. I have a schedule that's very flexible. I'm helping and making a huge impact with people. I educate people. I help people through hard times. You know, I take life very seriously, and I take every single day seriously, and I live, you know, what I speak of, which now has given me or has allowed me to feel like now I can, like, when I say something, I don't feel like I'm being a poser or a fake for it, because I have like raw proof and results from the things that I'm doing.
Now you're making a boatload of money doing what you're doing on top of all that.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, I always got to leave that part. Gotta stay humble. Yeah. You can talk about that, and I can't talk about that for myself. Oh, and I'm making, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah. So now it's just like, now that I have the results, I want to get back, and I want to make sure that, like, you know, people can really trust the things that I'm saying because of the results that I have. So to recap what I'm talking about, like, this year was a year of trial and error. This year was a time of growth, where I had to overcome some things that were extremely difficult. I had to make some decisions for myself that were going to help me grow and propel myself into create a better future. And I had to cut people off that I didn't think were going to be the best fit for myself and for them. And now that I'm, you know, stable and I'm in a place where I'm comfortable and I'm making decisions for myself and I'm on my own terms, I can think clearly, which is now going to give me the right and the courage and the truth in myself to share things that I want to do for you guys. So next year I'm going to create like another channel, and I'm just going to be sharing things like once a week about, you know, like growth or experiences or stories, or, you know, building assets and things like that, because now I'm living it, right? And I'm excited to give back, because I just feel like, I don't know, I've always been one that, you know, thrives off helping people, but I feel like I've just been bottling all of these things up because I've just been waiting for the right time, and now that it's the right time, I'm excited to share. But this has easily been the most crazy year of my entire life. I'm super grateful for all the things that I've had to overcome, and super grateful for all the things that I've learned and the opportunities that I've been able to execute on. And this was pretty funny. I had someone the other day, I don't even think I told you this yet, but I had someone the other day who I grew up with. They applied for a position in my company, and they didn't get the job. But before they applied, they were like, oh, well, before you applied, like, you didn't have X and X experience, like, you got lucky, you know, all this stuff, and you were like, and they were like, yeah, man, like, you've always just been lucky, you know, like, whatever. And we were on the phone, so I couldn't, like in my mind, I was just like, dude, I kind of want to crush you right now, because, like, if you think that, like, everything that I've done is just luck, then, like, fuck you, but, like, but, like, whatever, you know. And then he didn't end up getting the job, which I thought was even funnier, because it's like, how are you going to say that I'm lucky, but you still don't even get, like, the position in a company or work for something that's, like, a fraction of what I'm doing right now, right? How am I lucky, right? So I just thought that was super funny, because I I'm obsessed with information. I'm obsessed with making myself better. I might not have anything, previous to doing the things that I'm doing now, but I might not have anything on paper that says that I'm a highly educated person. But when it comes to like being savvy and connecting with people and learning information that helps me grow, I'm addicted to it. I go to sleep with it at night and I wake up to it every single morning. I don't watch movies or the news or Netflix. Like this is just what I live, sleep, and breathe. And that to me was like, I mean, I wasn't like insulted because I know my own worth, but that to me was like something that I found very humorous because
well, that's also just somebody that doesn't have a good perception on the way the universe works. If you just think everything's happening by mere chance and luck, like
yeah, and that to me was like, come on, like really, is it really luck? And then the funny thing about that too was that we were talking a little bit, and he was like, yeah, I'm learning a lot about CMRs and all these different things, and he meant CRM, and I was like, bro, like how can you say that I'm lucky when you don't even know what a fucking CRM is, But anyways, I don't want to like dig too deep into that conversation. I just thought that it was like really funny that someone told me that I was lucky after all of the years in preparation and time that I spent to myself to grow. And
and honestly, I had a lot of unlucky shit happen to you along the way. Every step, for a while, you were the most unlucky person I knew for a minute, especially when you were living in California.
And
continuous unfortunate shit was happening.
But
you kept grinding.
And most people would say that those are like unlucky things, or some people would say that those are like problems or predicaments or whatever. But I read this book called The War of Art. It's actually right next to us. This is why you need to read it. But these things that are unlucky, the things that I don't talk about or I don't spend too much time on, I don't think of them as being unlucky. I think of them as opportunity. So if something crazy, ridiculous happens to you and you're like, man, I don't know why that happened, fuck this, whatever, that situation sucks, it's like you've already lost the battle. But if you can like sit back and analyze the situation for a moment and breathe and then just use your mind, because your mind is like the best tool that you have. It's the best tool that anyone could ever have, right? And if you understand that your mind is that tool, and if it's the best tool, then obviously you can get yourself out of that situation without you panicking or going backwards. So I think my greatest gift, and one thing that I really want to love, I'm really looking forward to sharing next year, is just using every single unlucky predicament or unlucky situation or scenario as something that you can leverage and use as an opportunity to push through. So I'm like that kind of person. When people will like come to me and share with me about all their problems, I'll go to them and I'll be like, bro, I'm like super happy for you that like you're going through all this stuff, because you're gonna learn so much, and you're gonna know how to cope with these things differently in the future. And the way that you're going to be forced to think and move through this situation is going to develop your mind to be tougher and stronger and just more wise, right? Yeah. So these situations may seem like they're unlucky. I mean, if putting this topic or the way that I'm proposing it aside, I've had some of the most ridiculous and saddening and heartbreaking and crushing moments happen to me, which to me are opportunities, but I've also had some of the most crazy, happy, like, how the hell did that happen to him? That's such an amazing, lucky situation happen to me as well. But I've just perceived all of them as neutral, and they're all opportunity to learn and obtain something, so that way you can get the most out of it. Because every single day is all about getting the most out of it, right? Even when we're not doing anything, right? Because it's so good to like do nothing, so that way you can recover and then etc. But I've been extremely so-called lucky, but extremely not lucky at the same time. But as long as we can understand that they're all opportunities to learn and obtain information, we can continue to grow. And if you perceive them that way, you allow more gifts to come your way, which ultimately is like what we all want, right? So why should we let things slow us down when they're just there to teach us things so we can get the goals that we actually want, right? It's like, if you want, a $250,000 a year salary, you want to make $250,000 a year, and then you expect to not have any trials along the way. Then how do you? Your way, and you have to understand that like maybe 1% of the world makes more than $250,000 a year, maybe. Like, how do you even think that it's just gonna like pop up and like, be on your front porch, and just be there, right? Like, you have to think logical. Like,
you have to have a lot of value to give, and the only way you can give value, it's kind of like the thing we were talking about, listening. Like, you can't learn anything while you're speaking. You can only learn listening. you can't really learn much winning. You can only learn stuff when you're losing, really.
Yeah, and
those are the biggest opportunities for growth.
Yeah, and then sometimes when the people that win the most become the most complacent because they get that feeling of fulfillment and success, and it makes them complacent, and then, they don't get anywhere. So yeah, that was a huge one. There's a cool quote that I heard on another podcast. It was like, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, which means that you should technically be listening twice as much as you speak. And that to me was so cool because it's so true, but not a lot of us think about it that way. Or and then just to be like on the other side, say that one doesn't talk much, but they judge. It's like, okay, well, you might not speak as much as you listen, but sometimes you judge so much that you can't even learn because you're just judging about whoever it is that's in the room talking to you or the things that you're learning, to get to the point where you can't even learn or try to understand the situation.
Or you're thinking about what you're going to say next.
Yeah,
you're not even
too.
listening.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
I've been in that place, so I feel like a lot of people have, where you're just literally thinking, how am I about to reply to what they're saying, instead of absorbing all the things they're actually saying.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, this next year, I'm gonna create a platform or a small page on YouTube where I'm gonna be talking about things like this, but it's just gonna be like storytelling kind of. I don't want to put myself on a pedestal, and I don't want to be that person that, like I was telling him earlier, I'll never be posted as public figure on Instagram, but I definitely want to like share the things that I have to say because I didn't come from a place of wealth. I didn't come from a place of abundance. I wasn't educated by a family that got me to where I wanted to be. I wasn't, I guess, led by anyone really. I learned all of this stuff my own through YouTube and books and friends and family, and I guess maybe some family that are actually my friends, but I consider them family, to get here. And I think that, if I could do the same thing on YouTube, coming from a place that I came from, the same with you, then why can't anyone else listening to this do the same thing? Like, I don't think that there's anything different than myself or the people that can open and hit play on this recording and obtain the information that we're learning, obtain the information that we're speaking of. So that's why I kind of want to give back, because if I could like do this to someone else, that would probably fulfill me more than any accomplishment that I make on my own, right? Like if I could make an impact at the same caliber of the impact that I have on myself, like, fuck, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So my goal is to impact hundreds of people, not thousands. I like to start small and make logical goals, but I want to impact hundreds of people, and I want to have hundreds of followers on this page, to where they're, utilizing the material and utilizing it in the right way too, to where, they're growing and developing as people. So
it's a good goal to have.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. But well, I'm pretty sure you're going to be doing something too on YouTube as well, as like an alter ego kind of thing. So why don't you share a little bit about that with us and let us know what your situation is with that, because it's also very appealing.
Yeah. I want to do something very similar, to the extent where I'm just sharing like thoughts and ideas I have and kind of ways I perceive the world. Just because I feel like, because I've gained so much knowledge from podcasts and YouTube and all these things, it's like almost that responsibility. You've got so much, you want to give something back. So I've been feeling that responsibility for a long time, and honestly, I've kind of felt, for a couple of years now, I've kind of just felt like crippled in a way, to where I felt like I wasn't able to be my full self. And now that things are finally falling into place and things are in the best place I've been in a long time, I feel like I'm going to be in a place similar to yourself, like where I'm able to get this information, all this ideas and creativity I've had inside of me, and like be able to channel that into something. So yeah, I'm going to be launching my YouTube channel, and hopefully just sharing stuff that really resonates with me, cool things, cool ways of seeing the world that I think are cool. And hopefully it resonates with some people. I feel like it definitely will. My goal is not to be a public figure or have millions of followers either. It's just to be able to impact some people's lives and help them. Like, some of my favorite people on YouTube are people with like 5,000 subscribers, but they're dropping really awesome content that's helping me out in my life. And like, I haven't even reached out to them and let them know, but it's like people like that have kind of inspired me to just take that next step. And through sharing that information, I hope to hopefully embody that information more and just be a bigger reflection of that walking forward. So
Yeah, and another thing is too is the podcast world is taking over the news and the media. So the more people and I heard a couple of EDM artists like shit on some people for doing podcasts all the time. Oh, what are you gonna do? Start a podcast? Because it's like everyone's doing it, but it's like, I mean, wouldn't you want to be a part of the reason why like people are listening to more podcasts instead of watching the news every morning? Like, it's not going to take one person to create a podcast channel and then everyone watch that person. It's going to take a collective of like many different people from many different backgrounds to get them to watch podcasts and listen to podcasts over watching the news, right? So another good reason on why, like, even if you guys wanted to just to share things about what you want to talk about, because it's very therapeutic, create your own content and your own page and whatnot and do it, because the podcast world is taking over the media. And if you guys know anything about the media, and this is like a completely different conversation that I don't really want to dive into, but if you guys know anything about the media, it's not the best place to learn and obtain information. It's pretty crippling and demoralizing in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, you wouldn't only get to like share things that you get to learn about and things about what you want to do to help people, but at the same time you would be taking away from something that's kind of like making people think in a box, which is limiting the amount of growth and things that they'll get to do as people just from like sharing your 2 cents. You're just like taking time away from the mass produced stuff that isn't doing any good for people.
Yeah. And people will listen if they want to listen, and they won't if they don't. That's the thing about it. And that's kind of the reason both of us are talking about like doing YouTube or some form of that and not doing it on social media, is because like social media, you're just grouped in with everyone else that's having fun and doing stupid stuff on their Snapchat and Instagram stories, or just posting pictures. And we're kind of like driving more towards like information and helping people out. And I feel like a lot of those people congregate to YouTube and podcasts. Like, those are definitely where I spend most of my time. I feel like the same thing for you. So it's like people are gonna find you, and people are gonna like appreciate that you're putting that out there, or they're not, and they're not gonna watch it anymore.
Exactly.
And you're gonna pick up the right people. You're gonna attract the right people, the right audience.
Exactly, because and you're the same way. Like, we're obsessed with podcasts and information, but sometimes I was just telling him earlier, I was like, man, even like some influencers on Instagram, I don't even watch them because it's like on Instagram. It's like a place where, yes, there's good material on there, and yes, it's like great. Like, even on Twitter, sometimes when I'm tweeting like some conscious stuff, it's like I almost feel weird about it, because it's like, you people didn't ask to hear what I had to say. You followed me, which gave you the I guess right to hear what I have to say, but you didn't ask for it. So I would just much rather like talk to people when they ask for the information, because they're going to appreciate it and value it differently and actually listen to what we're having to say, instead of like do another 7-second Instagram video, have to stop and then pick it up again, and then someone like you're saying, someone would be in the bathroom just like listening to your conscious shit and not perceive it in a way, or like judge or whatever. And it just doesn't seem like a really smooth or fun way of going about it. So I'm stoked to like do something. And then the only thing I would do on the Instagram is just say, hey, look, posted some new content. The link is in my bio. Check it out if you want to. Yeah, check it out if you want to learn X, Y, and Z this week. Like, I'm super stoked to share this with you guys. I've been working on this for a really long time. Like, check it out. Yeah. And if they click it and then watch it, then that's great. Yeah. The same way that you guys clicked and watched this podcast, like, you wanted to hear what we had to say. So
it's gonna be fun. We should make like both of our things when we're making them. We should make them like story format. I think that was like something really dope that you said. Like, figure out a cool way to storyboard stuff and come up with these ideas beforehand a little bit. That way, they're the most engaging. Like, there's a certain way people like listening to stuff the best. Yeah,
you just share your real raw experiences on whatever topic it is, and you explain how that piece of information allowed you to get the results that you got. Whether it would be a specific piece of information that you utilized during work, a book that you read that helped you negotiate better through your sales calls, or a piece of mindful information that you learned that helped you get into a flow state better, which ultimately helped you go through your day-to-day, or like a recipe or a coffee that you made that helped you get into gear, and then the results that you got from consuming that product, right? Like, those are all going to be things that are going to be very useful for people to learn. And it's going to be fun telling stories just because they're real. They're like real, raw, like, this is what I did, this is what came from it, do you want this? Yes. Okay, well, this is what you should try to see if you can get there. And a lot of people just don't know like the steps or things that they can do to get out of the position that they're in. And a lot of people don't even know that they're in the position that they're in, because they're not even aware to realize that they're in the position that they're in, which means that they're never going to get anywhere, right? So if you can help someone in that way too, it'll be very useful just by sharing a story that could relate with them a little bit.
Yeah. And even if it only helps one person, worth it.
Yeah, for real. I mean, it helps me talking about it, and it also helps me by holding myself accountable to live up to the standards and things that I'm proposing.
Yeah.
So
and get your ideas out in a more orchestrated way. Like you can
Mhm.
have all these ideas, but if they're just bouncing in your head, it's almost like they're not even real.
yeah, exactly.
It's just like ideas in your consciousness. So
Mhm.
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a cool year for creating stuff. Another big goal that I wrote down last night that I have for myself is complete one track a week, like either one full beat track or one full beat and lyrical track a week, and put that out. And it doesn't even have to be perfect, but I just want to like force myself into the process of going through things A to Z and finishing them, because in the past I've made hundreds of songs, hundreds of beats, and I've only put 4 songs out in my entire life.
Mhm.
And it's like I want to actually like get good at the process. I don't even care if it's perfect right now, and it's not even like I'm trying to
You
get
just want to finish music.
blow up. Yeah, I just want to finish music, and I want to get good at like getting in the process A to Z and finishing.
So
ideas.
from like intro to build to drop to out to a
from
break
like
to
beat to like lyrics to like recording to
Yeah.
like mixing to mastering, like all the way
Mhm.
A to Z. So,
So
I
no
wanna,
more 1 minute beats to the full spiel.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to do, and even if it's a beat a week or ends up being a song, I want to do one every single week for all of 2019. That's one of my goals. So.
Mhm.
52 different tracks I want to put out online. Probably not all on my personal SoundCloud. I might just put some of them on my alter ego SoundCloud.
Yeah, fuck it.
But kind of like Hawk, you know what I mean? And
Dude,
just,
his
but
music is
just,
so good.
yeah, just get shit out there, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And some people are gonna resonate with us, some people aren't. That's fine. It's not like I'm doing this for other people in the first place.
Mhm.
I'm doing this to express myself.
Mhm.
And yeah, just get better at it, because music's something I want to be doing for is the perceivable future. Pretty much my whole life I'm imagining.
Mhm.
So I just want to get better at the process of it.
That's dope.
Yeah, so that's another big goal I have going into the year.
That's dope. And then, what are your intentions with your music? Like, why did you choose music in the first place? Why is that something that you want to spend so much time on, knowing that it's not even going to give you like, you know, an ROI or, you know, income or anything? Like, why is it such a thing to you that's pursuing, or that you want to pursue?
Because music's been the biggest like impactor in my life. Like listening to music has been like the number one thing that has kind of just transformed my life in a lot of ways. At every point in my life, not even when I was conscious, it was still affecting my life hugely. So I just kind of feel like it's a universal language, and you can really get your feelings out into it. And I want to learn how to like more channel my feelings into that and just kind of share my story with the world. And there's a ton of different ways I think you can do that, whether that be drawing or painting or, you know what I mean, cooking, whatever your way is of expressing yourself. But for me, it's like music's what I'm most passionate about. It's what I hands down love the most in this whole world. And honestly, it's like one of the only things that I find like real meaning out of. Like I actually like feel meaningful every time I'm doing it. So yeah,
That's what's up. That's going to be exciting, especially because you have a lot of intention behind it.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just writing straight beats. It's like, yo, I have something that I want to share internally, and the only way that I'm going to be able to express that internal feeling is if I put it out in these notes,
Yeah.
and then just let it all fold out, you know?
Exactly. And
So
the only
that's-
way I'm going to get better at like transcribing what's inside of you. I was listening to this video on Carlos Santana. He's like a super famous guitar player. And he's like, you can play all the notes in the world, but it's like how you play them, and all your fingers are doing when you're playing guitar or anything is transmuting that feeling. So all you're doing is creating the muscle memory. That way you can like channel what's inside of you as best as possible. And that's what you're doing when you're practicing.
That's crazy.
That's what you're doing when you're practicing music, is creating that muscle memory. And all you're trying to do is create that connection as good as possible. When you're learning Ableton, like all you're doing is learning as best as possible how to get what's inside of you into that. Because you have all these ideas in your head, but it's like so hard to transmit those into an actual track.
Yeah, I've had a few music instructors tell me that the ideas that you have in your head are bullshit, and that you have to like, that no one has an idea in their head and then they like with like a melody, maybe a drum pattern, but no one. I've had a few instructors that have told me they've said, yeah, you might have, if you have all these ideas in your head, that's bullshitting because you're just like thinking of something. And it's like, no, I actually like have things in my mind that I want to hear, that I want to put in like melody form, that I don't know how to, just because I don't know how to operate whatever machine I'm using to get them out. So I'm really happy that you said that, because I think that that's where some of the most raw, music comes from, is like, something that you could like maybe have in your mind, and then you hum it and record it, and then you use that melody, and then you put sounds in it, and then you add, drums and instruments and things like that. But I've never really understood people when they said, oh yeah, you don't have all these ideas in your mind, that's just something that you're thinking
like
of.
someone that's limiting themselves.
Yeah. Well, I paid $3,000 to go work with this dude, and learn from him, and he's like some kind of, supposedly one of the best, teachers out there, but I left his place a day early because I didn't think that it was very useful, and kind of am on the opposite end of the spectrum in regards of like what music really is, and learning from his career too, and like what kind of person he is. I can understand why he feels the way that he feels, but he writes music to make people move, and he's a party animal. He's not necessarily someone that's trying to impact their soul when they're writing, and I'm more so into it for the same reasons that you're into it, which is why I didn't resonate. So I think that it was just a bad fit and not a good person that I could learn from, because all of his music is very, grungy and party and booty shaking and that kind of stuff. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just like not the thing that I want to do.
Yeah, and maybe that, and like you said, that experience just helped you learn more of what you wanted to do from learning what you don't want to do.
Yeah, that was one of the worst investments I've ever made, but at the same time, one of the biggest learning lessons I've ever had. You know, so. That's cool. So you're going to be writing a beat or a song a week, and you're going to be mixing and mastering. You're taking that class at that school, right?
I don't know for sure.
Thinking about taking that?
Doing that, but I've already done a lot of mixing. I've done some mastering, so it's just like pushing myself in that first few weeks. I guarantee it's going to be super hard pushing that first song out, but like once I get in the rhythm of it, a month or two into it, I feel like it's going to be way easier to get these ideas start to finish pretty quickly.
We'll have to link up with Preston. He knows how to mix and master really well.
Sick. Yeah.
Got to get Ableton though. I'm telling you, it will fucking help you.
Ableton users be live. Yeah. So, but yeah, I just want to finish some ideas, dude. Like both of these two big goals that I have between the YouTube channel and the music that I wrote down yesterday, like it's all about just getting this creativity that's inside of me out, because it feels like it's been bottled up for way too long. Like I just want to get it out there.
Yeah. Well, you know how to do it. Just gotta do it. Just gotta take the steps and do it. I mean, learning from people is great. Having a network of people that you can ask questions to is great. But I've come to learn after being in this game for a yearish now, from just learning music and whatnot. I mean, not even really a year. Really, it was like last winter when you came over, or was it before that? It was last winter. Actually, yeah, it has been a year. I think that the most valuable way of one learning music is to understand the rules. So to understand, what things are in key and like which chord progressions make sense musically. But then once you understand the basics, then just like not allowing anyone to mess with your creative ability or give you advice, but for you to go like an absolute madman and just create with what you have internally and then see what happens. But as long as you know the basics, I think that it's great.
Yeah.
But the more people you ask, the more advice you ask. Oh, I do it this way. It's like, oh, I do it that way. And then you try to do it their way. It's like now you're analyzing and taking away from the creative process. So as long as you continue just, daily cultivation and water your own seeds and your own plants, and, you're consistent with it, then obviously it's going to come to fruition in however way that you want it. But just got to put in the work.
A lot of trial and error, just got to work on it a lot. What goals do you have outside of this YouTube channel that you kind of got fresh on your mind starting this new year out?
Well, I need to pay off my student loan debt. It's the only debt that I have. I want to buy a new car. I want to impact hundreds of people, not thousands. I think hundreds is a great start with the YouTube channel, with life in general, people that I meet. I want to meet a new core group of people that like to talk about these things, because it seems like me and you are the only ones out here in this fucking state that are doing this right now, that we haven't met yet. There's definitely some people out here, of course, that would love to do these kind of things, but would like to meet a new network of people I want to make X amount of dollars. So I have a goal that I want to make each month. I have a specific amount of sales that I want to make each month and each year.
It's like one sale a day. I seen on your board, right?
Sale a day keeps the doctor away. Sale a day keeps the IRS away. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I want to make a sale a day, so that would be great. And I want to become a manager or a leader in the company. So I want to have a management role, and I want to lead teams and build teams. So I don't want to just continue to be a consultant. So I consult for gym owners, and I essentially teach gym owners how to become more profitable by using tech services, automated services, front-end offers. We sell supplements. We have our own supplement company, and create really good front-end offers with personal training and small group packages. So we are in 20 different countries, and there's 1,400 gyms actively building with us. And I'm a consultant, so I sell both programs within the business. But what I want to do is I want to become a leader in the company. So right now I'm in the forefront, and I sell with five other people. But I want to sell, and then at the same time I want to lead people and teach them how to sell, so that way they can become more effective within the business. So I want to work my way up in the company, which is going to be exciting because I think
get some sort of promotion.
Yeah, I've already had 2 in 7 months, so that's soonish. And I want to do that. And other than that, I think that those are my big ones. But I also want to create and learn specifically which sounds enhance the mind to focus, relax, go crazy, have fun, etc. And I want to create music out of that. So I want my music to not be like a party setting. I don't want to be a DJ. I was a DJ for a while, and it was very short term. I got a lot of short term fulfillment from it. But I want to write like medicinal meditation. I don't even know if you could call it I don't even know what you could call it. Maybe not really like a ceremony or you don't even know exactly. Yeah, I don't even know.
You have like this abstract idea of like the type of music you want to
make. So the idea when it's come to fruition is we're in a large room, maybe 500 people max can fit into it. There's sub bass involved, there's lights, there's visuals, and in this setting it's more of a medicinal time where people are meditating, or they're writing ideas and concepts down, or it's just a place where you can forget about everything else that you're doing and you're focusing on the sounds that I'm using, or the lights, or the visual performance that's on the screen. And the goal is for you to take something from the experience. Maybe you can take psychedelics here, maybe you can't, I don't know, I haven't thought that far into it yet.
You're not going to be able to tell people that.
But either, right? And I'm not going to be able to tell people what they can or can't do. But
if you make that type of music, there will be people taking psychedelics.
But the goal is to make, right. So the goal, it could be. I wouldn't be mad. But the goal isn't for you to walk in and, oh, that was a dope thing, right? Or, oh, that was hype. If that's like your feedback on the experience that I create, then that's a failure for me. So I want it to be like you walk into that place with intent that you maybe have some baggage that you want to let go, or some things that you want to release, but this music allows you to release those things. And then when you release those things, you come back almost like a different person, or you perceive and you understand things in a different way, because the music takes you to a wavelength where you can get out of your shell and do it, right? Yeah. So like I said, that's probably the best way that I can put it. I don't want to say that it's like a show or a ceremony or whatever, it's but like an experience. I want it to be a moving experience, and I want it to be like that every single time. And I don't think we're going to be selling, I don't even know, like these things are all like little things that could be, whatever. I don't know if we're going to be selling Bud Light there, and have fucking pop machines and things like that, but I want it to be like if you're going to a yoga studio and you have that intent to release, I want it to be like the same thing with this music and the sub bass and the lights and the visuals. So it's going to be interesting because there isn't something like that now. And if someone hears this and has more capabilities than me and gets there quicker, then that's awesome. Like that's the goal, isn't to necessarily have me be the one behind all of this. If someone could do it, then I would love to go there and enjoy it, because it would be amazing.
Learn from it and take it back to yours.
And
it could become a whole new genre of music.
Yeah, and that's the only reason why I'm talking about it on here. Typically, I wouldn't even want to talk about it, but I think that if someone could do this, instead of it just always be about partying and messing around and getting super fucked up and, doing a bunch of K and Coke, then I think that people could learn and understand themselves better and learn and understand the power of music better. And I think that that's super important because of the impact that it's made on my life and the impact that I've seen it make on other people's lives. So that is like a huge goal for me. That's a long-term goal. That's not a goal that I have that I want completed by the end of next year.
Just move closer to that way.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm working so hard now is because this is going to require funding. So a lot of the money and things that I'm doing right now to build up wealth is to essentially make sure that this can be possible, or to even like partner with someone who might be a little bit more capable than me to create this experience for people so it could happen quicker, right? So that's like a big goal of mine. Other than that, student loan debt, I want to buy a car. I have been without a car for over a year now. I need to impact over hundreds of people, create this channel where I'm speaking once a week on things that I want to chat about, and then move up in the company and become a leader and lead people into a way of becoming more efficient consultants, to where they don't have to go through the trial and error phase, because selling the program is extremely difficult. But the better I can make people, the better off the company will be, and the better salesmen and consultants they'll be too. So those are like my big goals that I have, and I'm so fucking stoked to hit them hard next year, and excited to just really finally like take action on this whole YouTube thing, because I have so many different things that I want to say, and like I said in the beginning, now that I can like back what I have to say and people can't really question it, means that it's time to share without me feeling not confident about what I'm sharing.
Yeah.
So
dope. It's gonna be a fucking good year.
The next year, and I promise for you guys too, next year's gonna be the best fucking year of your life. And you have to believe that, like 2 or 3 weeks before January, because once January hits, it's next year, and you don't need to make a New Year's resolution. You don't need to make all these things and whatever. Like, do it right now and get yourself ready, and understand that every single time like the year comes, it's gonna be that much better than this previous year that you just lived, and you're gonna live and learn and do things that you've never been able to experience before, and you're gonna be able to have like a better year than you can ever imagine, just by priming yourself and believing that it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited. It's going to be sick.
It's going to be fun. Got a lot of moves to make. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I feel like that was pretty good.
Yeah, so thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Start prepping for next year, homies. Don't wait until the first of the year.
If you wait until the first of the year, you already lost. If your goals aren't written out right now, you've already lost. So go write them down.
Yeah,
Figure out what you want to do. Find a dope group of people that you can talk about this shit with, and talk about it with them. Let them hold you accountable.
Yeah, exactly. Have people hold you accountable. Hold yourself accountable. Like, you can always have those people that are going to hold you accountable, but at the end of the day, you're the only one that's going to be monitoring yourself every day. So if you have different things you want to get done in life, like, write them down, take action, rinse and repeat. Like, just keep doing it. And even if you fail, keep doing it. Like, can't tell you how many things I failed on and just kept coming back, and we're moving in the right direction. We're not there yet, but one day at a time.
Yep, exactly. One day at a time. But thanks again for tuning in. We'll be popping back in here for another one, most likely before the year is over. So stay tuned in for that, and we'll see you then.
Peace out, Lions Den.